and take over, here's your chance. And all right, we're gonna get started. So welcome to the office hour in this July, and we have Travis Bichel, who is will be sharing his experience and showing us what's coming up in the RPK update. So let's welcome him. And Travis, do you want to talk a little bit about yourself, and we can start the office hour? Kind of just introduce us on what is coming up with RPKs, what's exciting. Just let us know. Share it with us.
Hey, yeah, I'm Travis. I've been at Redpanda for a bit over 2 years now. I head up the DevX team among 2 other teams.
What does the DevX team do? Just a quick question.
We are responsible for making sure the end user experience of our product is good. We want to make every developer, basically have a good time using our product, make it easy to understand, simple to use. Basically, if you're running into something, you're like, you know what, this is a little bit too hard, reach out to us because we want to make that easier. Our current focus right now is the CLI, RPK, as well as Ansible and Terraform. And it will slowly grow, I'm sure.
Yeah, exactly. So for those of you who is actually doing administration, operating Redpanda cluster, you know who to talk to, right? Travis, this thing doesn't work for me, and you need to talk to him. The Red DevX team is the team that you need to talk to. Perfect. So Travis, tell us a little bit about the RPK that you want to share with us today.
Today we're going to go over a few things, some that we can show, one that I actually don't have my environment set up to show. The biggest change is how to configure RPK to talk to clusters with the new -x flag. I will also show RPK topic trim prefix, where you can use the old Kafka delete records API to literally truncate your topic at a specific log start offset. The one I can't show is RPK topic describe storage, but I'll walk through what it does in principle. And I think there might be one more, which if I get my phone, I have no idea where I placed it. It was literally just in my hand. Anyway, if I remember that last one, I'll be able to walk through it. Oh, RPK cloud login and RPK profile create. The whole profile stuff. We'll be showing profiles, which is related to the -x configuration.
Okay, so which one do you want to start first? The cloud login, the profiles, the truncations, or what other? Which one do you want?
Starting with -x and leading directly into profiles.
Perfect. So what's this -x thing?
Okay. Can I show my screen actually?
Perfect.
Okay. Cool. All right. So you can see my screen.
Yes.
I am going to actually COV23.x. Don't mind me. I'm going to install the last version of RPK so you can see what I'm talking about, and then install the new version. And then you can see what I hope the improvement is.
Perfect.
So if we just wait a second for this.
So just to clarify that you're running the previous versions of RPK right now, right?
Yes, although there might be a problem with it because I have some local code that is in this branch somewhere in a directory or something like that. So we'll just go with dev and I won't show the old version.
Okay. So we're showing the new version right now.
Oh, I know what's going on.
Are we going back to the older version?
No.
Okay.
We'll walk through this.
Perfect.
In a second, so I can explain why this error is happening. Basically, if you can see here, I have RPK profile prompt. When I checked out the old version of code, RPK profile doesn't exist. So my terminal itself was complaining, I don't know what this command is.
I see.
So I'll use only the new version so that this doesn't complain every single time I run anything. And we'll just walk through it. Okay, so this is the new version. This is literally the version from tip of dev right now. So if we do -v or RPK version, it looks like dev actually. Anyway, okay, cool. So if you are an avid user of the old command, you will notice that in the new command, if you do -h or new RPK, this is actually too big for me. I can't see what's on my own terminal.
Yep, this is all right too.
In the old RPK, if you did echo user create help, you would see about a dozen configuration flags down here to specify how RPK should talk to a cluster. Right. You would see the -- brokers flag, the admin API, I think it's URLs, yep. And a bunch of other SASL, etc. We have wanted to add more and more configuration flags to RPK going forward, but we have held off because there are just so many already. So what we did is we added a new -x flag, which you can see here in the long form, can also be spelled out fully, though we don't expect anybody to use this as config opt. And this is one universal way to configure everything about how RPK talks to the cluster or the cloud or anything else. So it supports tab completion. If you don't have tab completion enabled for RPK, I heavily recommend it. It's actually under generate shell completion. This is in my own bash RC, so that's why it works for me. Anyway, -x, you can see all of the configurations that used to exist, and we support auto completion for all of them. So what used to be -- brokers is now brokers equals. It's always a key equal value. So I'll do 127.0.0.1, 99.2, topic list. Where is it? This is going there. So anyway, -x, others. All of the old configuration flags are supported here under -x, and you basically just replace the dash with the dot. And then you can see all these globals are new ones that we are introducing in this release. So I mentioned we've always wanted to introduce more configuration flags. We did. Now we have the opportunity. These globals, for the most part, spell out maybe talking to your cluster takes a long time. Now we support changing the timeout so that RPK won't just exit with a failure when you try to talk to the cluster.
Why is it under global? Is it because all the RPK kind of does it that way, or can you customize it for different clusters?
So this is sort of leading into profiles. In the new, I wonder if I broke my own RPK, by the way, earlier. RPK profile, delete hello world. Yes. Okay, RPK profile list. Cool. So we introduced a new concept with this RPK where you can create and save a configuration to talk to multiple different cloud clusters, or not cloud clusters, all clusters, any Redpanda cluster. In the old world, anytime you wanted to talk to Redpanda, you would create a redpanda.yaml file and use that, or you would pass, your brokers flag, or you would have some environment variable RPK brokers or something like that.
Yeah, I remember I have to have a bunch of them like on my notepad so I can reconfigure my environment variable whenever I need to switch to different clusters. I used to do that.
Yes, it got very tedious.
It is.
In the new world, you can create RPK profile, create kfake. I'm going to create a profile called kfake. Over here, I have my own repo. I created a tiny in-memory broker. Supports a lot of the Kafka protocol. So this actually isn't talking to Redpanda. It's talking to something that I did in memory. Now my RPK by default is talking to a local host cluster because I didn't specify anything about it. But if I want to talk to a different profile, I can do set, and set supports tab completion with all of the same, flags that you see with -x. So if I do RPK profile set, and the name of the configuration setting in the profile is slightly different from the name of the flag in -x, but it tab completes and it works. And you can also use the flag name itself. So if I did brokers, it'll complete that, even though in the profile it's Kafka API brokers. So I'll do Kafka API brokers equals 127.00.9094. RPK profile print, we can see now that instead of talking to 9092, I'll be talking to 9094. Kfake is running on 9094 as well. So if I do RPK topic list, you can see that topic. Now, if I want to talk to a different profile, I could do RPK profile create foo. This can also set key values at the time of creation. So I'll do Kafka API brokers mono 10 1 1 0 1 2 3 4. This will fail because I don't have anything running there, but that is what it is now talking to. You can set a description when creating a profile. I didn't do it, but I'll set description failing localhost. Now we can see two profiles. This makes it very easy to talk to multiple different profiles. If we go back to -x for a little bit as well, one of the weaknesses with the old flags is that they were installed per command. So if I did RPK cluster, what was it? Let's just say, actually RPK topic list, but I had my admin API URLs flag, this would fail because the flag wasn't supported. But if I wanted to use -x, it can. -x is supported globally. And that might seem like a minor, unimportant thing, but if you are scripting and you want to pass all of your flags to any command you invoke, you can use -x anywhere. So you can hide all of your flags in a variable and just expand the variable when you invoke RPK everywhere within your script, rather than needing conditional logic for which command am I running. If I'm running this one, use these flags. If I'm running this other one, use these flags. Another thing with -x, as we introduced it, we also now support every single configuration flag being specified in an environment variable. So in the past, a lot of people, were like, I want to be able to specify my brokers in environment variable or my admin API there. My TLS settings, that was not possible in some cases. But now, to figure out which environment variable to use, every single thing can just prefix it with RPK underscore, and then do all of this in caps and replace any dot with an underscore. So RPK TLSCA or RPK, I don't know, SASL mechanism, etc. So in short, all configuration is supported with a file, a flag, or an environment variable. And to finally circle back to what globals are and how they're different, globals apply across every profile you create. So the thought is you're going to configure your RPK, but the timeout that you use for a broker, you're not going to really care if that's per profile. Odds are you're going to set the timeout once and only ever want to modify it once and look at it once. So we have edit. This will edit one profile. You can see the one that I created earlier. Or we have edit globals, and this can modify anything about all your profiles. Yeah, so what else? One thing that's cool, I showed earlier about the PS1 having a prompt in it. So I showed you this PS1, right? RPK profile prompt in the middle. Profile edit globals. So let's change the default prompt to something like %n with hi white, BG red. Okay. Now, because RPK profile prompt is in my PS1 and my default prompt from RPK profile prompt was highlighted white, background red, with the %n being the name of the profile, you can see the profile in every command that I run. This is extremely useful if you want to talk to multiple clusters and want to make sure that you're, always aware of which prod cluster versus dev cluster you're talking to. You can. So kfake. But let's say I don't really care about kfake as much. Per profile, there's also a prompt. Prompt BG green. Looks a little weirder. I don't really need to care about it as much. We also support multiple different sections. So you're able to see this. We'll do %n just to be clear here. And then we'll do one space. So what this means is I'm going to have one no formatting space and then another group where the background is green. And then we'll add a quote there. And now you can see this little space added here. There are a lot of commands in profile. Clear just clears your current. So for my use case, I always have a prompt when I'm talking to a prod cluster, dev cluster, whatever. I always clear my profile when I'm done talking to whatever cluster I'm talking to. Current just gives you the name. So you could do something like RPK profile delete, RPK profile current. I cleared my profile, so it doesn't have an RPK profile use. Now I will delete it. Cool.
Can I ask a quick question about the profiles? So is this only stored locally, or can I export it out to my other, say, laptop that I have, and I don't want to go through that entire profile configuration again? Is it possible to do that?
So your RPK profile configuration is stored locally in one file, which exists in your user configuration directory. So on any operating system, Mac, Linux, Windows all have different configuration directories. And in the programming language, it will, in Go, RPK is written in Go. It'll detect where it should write a configuration. And on Mac, which this is running on, the default is library, application, support, RPK. So RPK is the directory within your user configuration directory. And then you can see old I can delete. That was actually from pre-release testing of this, and RPK YAML itself, everything we've been modifying. You should not modify it or touch that by hand. You can copy it to your other thing. Another option you have is printing your profile. Okay, foo is the only one I have. Print, there's about nothing in here, but then you can also do RPK profile create from profile. So if you print this to a YAML file and then you do create from that same YAML file, it'll basically duplicate your profile somewhere else. So you can either copy the whole file, the RPK YAML and the application directory, to get all of your profiles to another laptop, or you can export it through this YAML file and recreate it through from profile.
That's great, because I'm assuming, because if I have multiple admins and I would like to share that with them, other than, just tell them, hey, these are the list of clusters, do it yourself, configure that yourself. I think that would be a much easier way for them to kind of share what is the current clusters that we kind of have access to, those kind of things. And I think that this will be helpful for them. And this cluster thing is genius, because then I don't have to think about which environment I'm working on, right? So I can quickly switch between one. And I love the color, because then I remember which cluster I'm working on, especially with the production ones. Definitely I would have them in red, so I know I don't tamper with them. And maybe the dev one would be like the green ones. I can just play around with them. I think that's how I color code my cluster.
I agree. I have set this up for a while. I actually can't remember when I deleted my global prompt, but I've now re-added it. One last thing to note about RPK profile create, actually two last things to know. From Redpanda, this is actually the old redpanda.yaml file. So you can create a profile from your existing older prod systems. And RPK profile create from cloud. This creates a profile from your Redpanda cloud cluster. I'm not going to run this yet because more important to show is RPK Cloud login. So we can move to that if you have no more profile questions.
Well, I was just thinking, like, for people that's migrating to this new version of RPKs, is the from Redpanda is our recommended way to go, for them to switch between things, because I assume they would already have, you know, Redpanda YAML, so all they have to do is just export it and just the new ones, right?
Yeah, I would recommend creating a profile from your existing Redpanda YAML, and then you're off to the races. It will create a profile on the system you're running RPK on. So, you know, if you SSH into a broker and create a profile there, it's not going to transfer back to your system. But, you know, create a profile, export it, copy it over. There are many different ways to skin that cat, as the saying goes.
This is super cool. So for those of you who just joined, if you have any questions, just ask away. We're talking about RPK today, so this is crucial for people that's doing administration work with Redpanda. So I assume this is one of the tooling that you'll be used in daily for, you know, just working with our cluster. So if you have any questions or any suggestions, you know, feel free to come up and show your screen or share your mic. Want to hear your opinion on that too. So just a quick reminder for you folks there. And then we can move on to the cloud. Yes. Hi, Travis.
Cool. So one of the things we're improving, and I guess this will be a little bit of a sneak peek about serverless, because that's what I'm going to use here, but this is also relevant for cloud dedicated clusters and cloud BYOC clusters, is RPK Cloud login. Now, for me, you're not seeing this. This is popping open a browser window. And I'm logging into my organization.
So basically what it does, it will redirect you to your browser, and you will be able to log in from your browser to the Redpanda Cloud. Is that correct? Exactly.
And usually this will print a full token. I have a local install that redacts this token. If the browser doesn't work on your system, you can copy the link that is printed. So you log in, and what RPK now does behind the scenes is like, okay, you're trying to talk to a cluster. Likely, you know, you're trying to log into the cloud. Why are you going to do it? You're going to talk to a cluster. If you don't have a cloud-based profile saved already, it will load all of your remote clusters and say, you know, which one do you want to create a profile for? That's what we're looking at right now. So I'm going to do Hello World. This is, as I mentioned, a seed or a teaser of our serverless stuff. You, listener, will likely not have access to it. Although if you want to, come join our community Slack and reach out to me or Vlad S, and we can have a discussion about it. So I am now talking to my serverless cluster, RPK.list. It's a little slow because this is based in, I think, Europe. And also this welcome topic was internally renamed recently to Hello World. That's what we're going to use going forward. So that's why there's a little bit of a disparity there. We'll consume to the end, format everything, just the value. And we need to move this. Welcome to Redpanda. And this message is being workshopped. So that's a little bit of a teaser. Now, RPK profile list, you know, just to harp back on this point, we switched to kfake. Kfake is my own cluster running locally in this other tab, RPK topic list, different. Now let's say that I want to talk to another cloud-based cluster, RPK profile, create from cloud. It'll prompt me for the others. Hey, Vlad was the person that I mentioned. Let's look at this one though. Okay. This is not a serverless cluster, so it doesn't tell you the whole serverless message that we, oh wait, no, this is a serverless cluster. Whatever, I forget a little bit. Now I have a third profile. So, magic. The prompt is kind of cool. We like that. It's one thing that we're, but I'm at the, you know, where it popped open this prompt. This is something that we're slowly introducing to different areas of RPK, but this is one of the first areas where it kind of makes sense.
I like
Any
that.
questions about that?
I can switch between, once we have the service ready, I can quickly switch between different clusters I'm working with. If I'm working with multiple BYOC clusters, I can use this to switch between clusters as well. If I have one dedicated, one BYOC, I can just smoothly switching from one to the other, right? That's like super cool.
So I think that kind of wraps it up for -X and profile. The next thing I think on the list to show is trim prefix, unless you have any more questions about what we're about to move away from. No?
I think
Okay.
we're good there. So what is the trim prefix for? Kind of just a quick question about that. Why do we talk about it? Feature.
So a while ago, Kafka itself introduced the delete records API, and it's a very confusingly named request that allows you to truncate partitions for topics. And what does that mean and why? Well, in Redpanda, in Kafka, to control the size of a topic, you have sort of two settings, retention MS and retention bytes. But let's say you have this set per topic and you think it's accurate, but then one topic gets a massive influx of data and the other topic gets a massive influx of data, and you're like, oh my gosh, my disks are filling, I need to clear them up. You can manually go in and truncate these topics, basically the start data, you can delete it. And behind the scenes, the broker will go and delete all segment files before the offset that you said to delete to. So it's classically, that's how I understand it to be useful. You could also be like, you know what, I had a whole bunch of garbage data at the beginning. I want to clear that out now before the retention settings kick in. So there are a few use cases like that. But having ran into disk space emergencies in the past, that is one that I'm intimately familiar with. So we can show the command echo foo, replicate topic reduce foo. So this is still, again, my cloud or my local junk. As we can see, kfake here. That's how I'm very paranoid about that thing. What is it? Replicate topic describe -p. Nope. Dash. Oh, I missed the topic. So we can see the high watermark here. Let's just go ahead and do for I in equal 1,100. Do nothing. Let's hope this works. It did not. Let's get rid of that. So we're just producing a bunch of data for my topic. Now we can see the high watermark for all of these partitions are slightly different. And now we want to clear up some space. Trim prefix, how do we use it? What you can do is you say, I want to trim prefix of foo to offset this for specifically partition 1. If you leave off the partition flag, it'll trim everything to offset. One thing that's very nifty about the trim prefix function is we also support timestamp. So you can do to something maybe, you know, whatever this timestamp means. It supports something like -1 hour. So if I do trim prefix -o at, I don't know, -1 hour. I hope this works. It's been a while since I tested it. Oh, okay, cool. So now, because I produced this obviously within the last hour, it is going to confirm with me, do I actually want to truncate everything? And you know what? I do. So now if I describe the topic, we can see that the log start offset is the high watermark. We also support input from file, which is basically a 3-column file described just above, where you can do the topic, the partition, and the offset. This allows you to do multiple topics in one truncation if you want the more advanced admin way of doing things. But I expect most people will be using, I want to truncate to a given time ago, or to a given timestamp. As I mentioned, if you leave off partitions, everything in the topic is trimmed. That's about it. Oh, and you can do no confirm to disable the confirmation prompt if you're very sure of yourself. I would never do that.
I just a quick question. Does it matter if we trim by timestamps or by offset? Is it gonna take longer to trim it, or kind of just don't?
That part doesn't matter. What will take longer is if the broker behind the scenes needs to do a lot of work. And I forget if this request itself waits for all of the data to be deleted, or if the broker returns immediately. I think it waits. So if you try to delete a lot of data, this request will probably time out. And then if you eventually describe the topic, the log start offset will change. If it doesn't wait, same thing. Eventually you'll describe it and the log start offset will change. But I think it waits. So if it's deleting a lot, it'll take a little bit more time.
Yeah. So it's basically the amount of data you're deleting. It doesn't matter of what the which configuration you're setting it to, kind of.
Exactly.
Okay, cool. Perfect. Yeah, so I think that's really good. So basically I can kind of just clear things. So when I delete it, nothing is going to be stored in terms of the storage, right? If I delete it, it's gone, right? Just want to make sure.
As a matter, it is unfortunately one of those cases of like, well, there's a little bit of a caveat here. The broker, so you delete to offset 30. Any segment file that begins before 30 is deleted. If the file you are talking to has offsets, say 20 through 40, 20 to 30 will not be deleted. It's not going to modify the file itself. And from a client's perspective, if the client itself asks, I want to start at offset 30. If the batch containing offset 30 actually starts at 27, 27, 28, 29 will be returned to the client, but clients are implemented internally to skip those offsets. So trim prefix and the corresponding underlying API is not meant to handle exactly like privacy data deletion requests, stuff like that. There's like the technical caveat there, but that is like a well-known thing within the Kafka ecosystem. It is the caveat of request. So
perfect. That's good to know, because I would assume that it will be deleted, but that's also good to know that they were still retained in the disk. That's perfect. Thank you. What else are we going to talk about?
So there is one more thing that I can't show an actual end-to-end example of, which is described storage. I can't show it because I did not set up a cloud-based tiered storage enabled cluster. What this does, though, effectively is it prints 4 sections of data, and they will tell you if you're using tiered storage, what offsets exist in the cloud and what offsets exist on local disk, and how much data exists in the cloud and how much data exists on local disk. And when was the last time, sync is like synchronization, when did I sync with the cloud? When is the last time that I sent data to the cloud? And made sure my manifest, which is sort of like the metadata of tiered storage, was up to date.
Okay. So I just want to give a quick big background on tiered storage for those of you who doesn't know about tiered storage. So what tiered storage is what Redpanda did was really awesome, because people often run into like disk shortage problem. And what we did is we offload the storage, the data itself into a cloud object store, which is a lot cheaper to store. So instead of storing everything to disk and then truncate them after their time's up, we kind of just offset them and store them into a cloud storage, so that you can still retain the data and we'll be able to kind of read the data back if you need them later on, by just changing the offset from your client side. Just basically that. So sorry about that, Travis.
Oh, no worries. That's actually, yeah, I was going to say, I think that's all of the new features that we're introducing in RPK for this next release. One thing that
can you go back to the things that you just shared with us on the tier storage side? Kind of go through. So we have the offset. So the offset, what is the offset thing that you're trying to?
So I just mentioned the segment files and sort of truncating to offsets. The offset section tells you the start offset of segments that exist in the cloud and the end offset of segments that exist in the cloud, as well as the start offset of segments that exist on your local disk on the broker itself, and then the end offset from local disk. And sort of the same thing for why what?
But why would that be important for people to know? Is it because that they would expect to learn about it's gonna take longer for them to load the data from the cloud, or is that what we're looking for in terms of looking at these numbers and these configurations and the things that we're seeing here?
Yeah, basically, that is the main way I expect people to find it useful. You know, it's always interesting for trivia. I personally like looking at it for trivia, but if you are trying to load data in the cloud, it will be slower to load. This could be one way to quickly rule out, why is this slow? Oh, well, you know, I have to download literally S3 files behind the scenes and hydrate all this data. It's going to take a little bit slower. You know, maybe AWS is having a problem and then suddenly your clients are broken. And you are like, well, my clients are trying to read from offset 30. Oh, offset 0 through 600 is in the cloud. That kind of makes sense. Now I know why I'm broken.
Okay, and that would explain why sometimes our broker is super busy, because it's just trying to load data from a external store, right? So I think that sometimes I see, like, I don't see a lot of traffic coming in and out, but I see that's kind of why that was busy.
Yeah, size is something similar. If you start wondering, like, well, why is my disk space filling? Size will tell you, well, how much space is actually being taken by Redpanda itself versus you know, some other processes on your system. And it can also help answer on a very quick napkin math level, how much am I going to be, you know, costing just to have my data stored in S3 or GCP, stuff like that, or GCS.
This is important.
Yeah.
Right? How much money, how much more money I need to pay for the storage.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah, Roger reminded me of one last thing that we could potentially show. So I'm going to do make dear bar RPK generate app. So oops, I can't type today. So this basically generates a small starter sample application for you, so that you can use it to talk to your cluster. It sort of uses a little bit of your profile to very like in creation of these the starter application file. And yeah, I mean, that's kind of it. The only language we support right now is Go, though we do plan to support other languages in the future. So if I do RK generate app, by default, it is interactive. So I'll just do this, create a new user with admin ACLs. Well, I'm not going to do that because I'm running this against kfake and I don't have ACLs. So kfake doesn't support ACLs at the moment, so don't try it for that. So this created a directory with 3 small sample applications. One, I think that'll create a topic and ACLs. So we're actually not going to run this. Consumer will consume, producer will produce, and so on. So actually, if I go into this, I'm kind of wondering if I am breaking myself with running this against kfake. So by default, some of this is commented out because, you know, I said, I don't want to use a Sazzle user. It's templated for you to be like, this is how you can easily do it. So create topic. Oh, I can run this. Go run admin. Okay, go run producer. Cool, go run consumer. And now I have just a very quick demo of the capabilities of Redpanda or my tiny fake cluster. Redpanda itself, though, Redpanda proper.
This is cool, but I think, you know, the next questions I'm going to ask for people anyway. They'll be asking, what's the roadmap of supporting other languages? When are they coming up, and what are in your roadmap right now? For
I know we want to do Python next, and likely Java down the line. I could imagine us support or doing like, you know, I'm not going to volunteer C. Nobody wants to write C right now. But I was just thinking from a libRD Kafka, very famous, very popular library with bindings. So let's just say Java and Python to start. And one of the things we actually want to do, even cooler than that, is make it so that RPK generate app can have applications specified from like a flag that reach out to a GitHub repo where we continually add new apps to develop, like demo apps. So you can be oh, you know, I usually talk to a database. We have a database sample application and have an example of consuming to writing to a database.
Yeah, I think that the user of this particular feature is the data engineers. I would assume that, hey, I want to start consuming maybe from a topic, and I want to quickly push them to another place, right? So it would be great to kind of have, you know, letting people know like, hey, where I'm sending it from, where I'm sending it to, a little bit of a masking that I can do, like a little quick masking script in the middle and just masking things around, and that would just generate it for them, and they don't even have to think about it, and it will be just be there for them, right? That would be cool for the data engineers.
Yeah, yeah, we're looking forward to expanding this more.
I would love that.
And it'll be cool just to have a community repo basically that anybody can contribute examples to, and this command will automatically be able to talk to and download it. That's kind of the end goal. We'll obviously maintain the starter examples, but it is an open source repository. So
yeah, that would be cool. I mean, if you have any suggestions or anything you really wanted to communicate with us, come to our Slack. We have come to our channels. There's all of us are on there. You can ask questions, give suggestions. We're open to everything. Just come and tell us what you think about the new features and what you want to see from the new features. And you know, I think I want to really to hear your thoughts on the profile, because from my own experience, I think I find it super useful, but I don't know about you. So come and tell us about your thoughts on the new profiles. And what else do you want to see from the profiles? You know, any magical things that would automatically happen for you, right? So
yeah, cool.
All right.
That's about it. If I'm going to chime in with one more thing, I don't think anybody ever really realizes the full capabilities of consuming, RPK topic consume. This is a very insanely overpowered command. The formatting options are crazy. You know, most people probably just do, I just want to print my value with a new line. But if you're ever curious to see the full capabilities, I recommend reading this help text. Anyway.
You know what? I'd never used that before, but I'm going to take a look at it after this talk. I'll go over it because I've kind of just used like random scripting for consuming and producing. Yeah, that's super useful to know. That's why you come to that. That's why you watch office hours, because you
Yes.
for engineers. All right, so I think we're up to the we're on the almost till the end of the office hour. So thank you, Travis, for coming in and show us like this awesome demo and show us like how awesome it is for the RPK tooling and the new updates. Great release, and thank you for coming here. And we'll see you again in the next month office hour. Perfect. Thank you all.
Cool. Thank you.